Welcome to my YouTube channel. On this channel, we find facts and fine-tune figures.
So we are going to be proceeding by ingesting data into our lakehouse using notebook. So to do that now, we will stay just on our lakehouse. So from our lakehouse, we can upload the file that we want to ingest. So the CSV file for this ingestion with notebook is available in the GitHub repository. So I'll come to this file folder. Now I mentioned that in lakehouse it can take both structured and unstructured data. So I'll click on this and then I'll click on upload file. So once I click on upload file, then I can then navigate to the destination of my file in my local machine. So I now have my file in this folder. So wherever you have your folder to, just navigate there and pick the file you want to upload. So I'm going to upload the file, and I'll pick the file. So I'm picking 2019 and I'm also picking 2020. So I'll click on open. So once I click on open, I'll also click on upload. Then that will upload the file for me. And once it's uploaded, it will be showing complete, and I can close this interface. Then the file is now available in my lakehouse. So I can just click on this and then load this file directly into our lakehouse, but we are not going to be doing that because we would like to automate this notebook. So right from our lakehouse, we can just click on open notebook. So I'm going to click a new notebook. So a new notebook will be created for me, and then I'll give my notebook a name that is appropriate. So once the notebook is created, I'll give it a name that is appropriate. So my notebook has been created. First thing I want to do is I want to rename this notebook and give it the appropriate name. So I'll call it ingest data with notebook. So once that is done, so this is the interface of the notebook. So this notebook is useful for both data engineers and data scientists. Data scientists can use it for their workload for the machine learning models, and data scientists too can use it. And then it's so versatile that you can use your PySpark code, you can use Scala, you can use Spark SQL and your R. And of course, you can use your you can open your VS Code either on the web or on the desktop, whatever one that works for you. So we have home tab, we have edit tab, we have run tab, we have data tab, and then the view tab. So this is save button, and then by the time you are done working on your notebook, you can actually download it and reshare, just like you can do for Power Query template. So it allows for collaboration, and of course, this is where you can click on your setting, you name the notebook or any other setting that you want to do. Then you can schedule your notebook. So we are still going to get to this, but let me close this interface for now. Then you can also come to run tab. So on the run tab, you can add your notebook into a pipeline. Remember when we talked about ingesting the data pipeline? So you can add your notebook as a notebook activity in your pipeline, and then you can schedule your notebook to and impute a time that you want this notebook to be running at interval. So this is the part where you automate your notebook. So this is the notebook. You have the cell, you have the code marked down, then you can run your notebook. Now you can see that automatically all the tables that are in data lake format within our lake house are associated with this notebook. So you can use your notebook to access any of these tables here. However, let's not forget that what we want to ingest is data from notebook. So the data is already in our lake house within the files folder. So if I double click on it, you will see that table right here. So you can load it directly, and it's going to auto generate your code for you either by doing this and say load to Spark or load to Pandas. If you load to Spark, it's going to load your Pandas data frame, or if you load the Spark, it's going to open your Spark data frame or Pandas as the case may be. So I can click on Spark, and then it's going to auto generate code for me to read this file. So this is the code, and then I can run this code now to just say to show what I have on this file. So this is the output of the file, or I can just delete this cell entirely using this button. I can delete this one also. I can just do a mere drag and drop of this file into this place. So once I do a drag and drop, it also generates Spark code for me that I can run, and then it will read the file for me. So then it will read the file for me. However, what I want to do is to be able to ingest everything in this file folder. You know, we have 2019, we have 2020. So in case when they now upload other files, or maybe on monthly basis or on daily basis, we want it to be such that our data that will be loaded into the lakehouse is up to the attention to the column headers. So if you run this cell now, the output is going to come depending on the size of the data set. However, you can always limit what you are seeing on your data set here. You can use dotted. Okay, our result is already here. So you can see that we don't have headers for this data set. So we then have to define the schema for this data set. So I'm going to take out this cell, then I will create a new code cell. So once I create a new code cell, I will then copy the code that I provided in your GitHub repository. So I will copy this code now. So I'll copy this code. So once I copy it, then I'll come back to my Fabric environment. Then I'll paste this code. So this code is doing is that it's going to import Pack SQL for us, and then it's going to create a schema. And that schema is to define the columns and also the data type. Then you can now see that the code that was auto generated earlier is what I have here. But you can just do a quick edit that from this file folder, once you add this asterisk sign to it, you then read every CSV file, every file in that folder, be it CSV or whatever kind of file that you have in this folder. But we know that what we are going to be uploading to this folder now is CSV file. So if you have a different part, you can just adjust this part of the code and put in a different part. And if you need to define another schema entirely, you can use this to define another schema. So let us run this code now, and then this way it will just resolve the column headers that were missing earlier. So now we can see that our data now has column header. However, this is not the end. So we need to be able to write this data set, not just in a flat file, into this data lake format, So to do that, you just go back to your repository and copy the next code set. So I copy this. Then once I copy this, then I come back to my Fabric environment. So I come down here, then I add a new code set. So then I paste what I copied. So this is telling us that this is the table name. You can specify the table name. So I want to change the table name to just C 2019, and then this is going to write the data in data format, and then the mode of the writing that I want is to overwrite, because at the end of the day what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to automate this notebook such that every time a new file is uploaded into this our file folder, it's just going to overwrite it. This way we are not going to have duplicates of the same data in our data lake table. So that is going to overwrite, and then these table names are already been defined by this variable. So let me take out this R, and then I just say that let me print the name of the variable. So I will just run this cell now, and then we'll expect that a data lake table will be written here called C2019. So once this Spark job is done, we can refresh our Explorer here, and then we'll see this table that has been written in our pipeline. So I'll just refresh this table folder, and then I'll see my C2019 table right here. So unidentified. So I'll refresh once more. So once I refresh, then you can see the table name is already here. But before we continue and do our automation, I want us to quickly confirm the number of rows that we have on this table. So I'll come back to my lake house. So from my lake house, I'll open my SQL endpoint. On that SQL endpoint, I'll be able to see the number of rows that is here on this table. So I'll come to my SQL endpoint now, and then from the SQL endpoint, I'll write a query to check the number of rows that I have here. So I'll just click on new SQL query. So once I click on new SQL query, I'll do select counts of everything. Let's count from this C2019 table. So once I do that, I'll just do a simple run. So I have 3,932 records in my table. So let me come back to my notebook now. So this is my notebook right here. We want to automate this process such that when a new file is uploaded into that uh, file path, it is automatically updated on this table. So what we'll do is go back to our lake house. So from our lake house now, I'm going to upload another year of data. So I'll just click on this, then I'll click on upload again, and I'll upload file. Then I'll navigate into where my file is located on my local machine. So I'll just add 2021 data to it, then I'll click on open. So once I do that, it will successfully uploaded, and once it's uploaded, I'll click on upload and then it's successfully uploaded. And then when it's uploaded, I will then close this interface. So once I have this interface closed, I can see my data in my lakehouse. Now let's not forget that on our notebook, we already specified that the file path should read every CSV file in this files folder. So if I run this notebook again, it's going to increase the number of records that we have on our C2019 table because we now have a new file. So to automate that process now, I can just come to schedule here. So if I come to schedule here, I just turn it on. Then the frequency I want it to be maybe on weekly basis or on daily basis. So let's pick on daily basis. And then the time I want it to happen, I can specify that time. Maybe I want it to specify at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. depending on your time zone. Pick 8 p.m. I can pick 8 p.m. and I can pick 8 p.m. So once the time has been selected, I can pick the time zone also. Then the start date and time, I want it to start as from tomorrow. Then the end time, well, there is no way to do that now. You can just take it as far as possible. So I will just do 2028. Then pick any random date in 2028. So far it's still running till then we are good. So then I can select my time zone if I want. So I'm in West Africa, so I'll pick GMT plus one, UTC plus one, then I'll click on apply. So once I click on apply, automatically this notebook will be running at this time every day. So if I go back now and try to run this notebook again manually, then I expect that the number of records that I have on my table will have increased. So I'll just click on run all. I will click on run all. So once I click on run all, then this notebook will run for me and then I will go back to my lakehouse and check the number of records that I have in my data lake table because now I had uploaded an extra CSV file. So let's go back to our SQL endpoint. So this is my SQL endpoint. So on this SQL endpoint now, let me do a count operation again. So once I do this count operation again, I expect that the number here has increased. So from 3,000, I now have 32,715, which is an overwrite operation. So that's that about ingesting data with notebook. So quick recap, we have ingested using pipeline from blob storage. We also ingested from on-prem data source using data flow, and we have also ingested using a note. And then the way I schedule my notebook here, I can actually add it to a pipeline right from here. So either a new pipeline or an existing pipeline. So if I click on a new pipeline, it's going to open up that data factory interface for me, and then you will see that it's going to configure the pipeline appropriately instead of having to configure it manually. So let me just call it notebook pipeline. Let me call it notebook ingestion pipeline. Then I will click on create. So once I click on create, the pipeline will be created for me. And instead of having to start setting up my pipeline manually, every configuration will have been set up this way. And then I can also schedule my pipeline to be running at interval, which in turn will run that notebook for data ingestion into our lakehouse. So we can see notebook activity has been added for me. So under notebook activity, you have two tabs. You have the general tab and then you have the setting tab. You can rename the notebook if you like. So then you have settings. So under setting, you will see that the workspace has been specified. The name of the notebook has already been picked. So assuming you are going to configure this pipeline from the beginning, not from the notebook side of things, all you have to do is to come to activity tab and then you pick your notebook tab. So from notebook tab now, you see that we now have general. Then I come to settings. So once I come to settings, this is the workspace that I'm working in. Then I have to pick the notebook that I want to use. If there are multiple notebooks, then I have to pick the specific notebook that I want to use for this operation. Then once I do that, then it is done. Then I can always come to my run tab where I can do my validation and to be sure that what I have configured has been properly set up. So I can delete this notebook now. Since we already have one, then we can then close this interface and then continue with our work.